Well, with Origins leaving players with so many questions, Treyarch had to continue the story with Black Ops 3 Zombies, and Treyarch would have been out of their mind if they made these maps without those iconic Easter egg songs. Things are gonna get pretty crazy this time, including a lot of discussion about the Primus characters meeting their Ultimus counterparts, and a bunch of other out-of-hand stuff. And I'm gonna give the same disclaimer I always give. These interpretations are mostly my own, as I use genius.com here and there for a few things. Secondly, my analysis is just for fun. I'm not claiming Sherwood had all these things in mind when creating these songs. With all that out of the way, let's get on with the analysis. Okay, so the Primus crew and Maxis were able to create a new timeline, but before this next universe commenced, Maxis talked to someone named Dr. Monty. You see, Monty also wants peace. After all, he's a keeper, so he works with Maxis to guarantee no discord. By the way, Monty's been watching the whole time, and even left things in the path of the survivors so they could advance, like the Perca-Colas, the wall weapons, and in Black Ops 3 case, the Gobblegums. So, in order to deliver peace, the Primus crew has to get the summoning key, which is what the Shadows of Evil crew does, and then kill the Ultimus crew. So, I'm going to be short with this section, and I'll just talk a little bit about what the lyrics mean, rather than analyzing individual sections. In my opinion, these lyrics aren't deep. Anybody that watched the Shadows of Evil cutscene can pretty much piece everything together. After all, this song wasn't written by Sherwood, it was written by Jack Wall, who has done a lot of Black Ops music before, so maybe that's why these lyrics aren't complex. If you don't know, every member of the Shadows of Evil crew has killed someone before, all in different ways and for different motives, and the lyrics reflect on this a little bit. But it seems the main theme of this song is how the survivors feel about the chaos happening, and the many things they have to do to move and not die. In doing so, the song brings up the mechanics of the game, like the multiplayer, sliding, and purchasing doors. Otherwise, that's about it for this song. Okay, so the next three songs take place from the point of view from one of the Ultimus characters, with that again representing Dempsey's thoughts. So Ultimus Dempsey is cryogenically frozen, and the song reflects a lot on Dempsey's half-alive state, contemplating if he's really alive, a fate discussed by the zombies if previous songs are any consolation. Alright, let's get into the lyrics. Dempsey knows death is right around the corner, he just doesn't know when he will die. Dempsey's half-alive conscious is his reality, one of which he has to fill in a lot of the blanks for, due to not being all there. The next verse goes on about the out-of-body experience, and how no one is there because his mind and body aren't connected. Serial suicide refers to how Primus is killing their older counterparts, so in a way, they're killing themselves. The last sentence could be referring to how Dempsey 1.0 can't find himself, aka can't control his body, and use that in order to stop his other self from killing him. Dempsey's state of mind is causing a lot of confusion. If he's not 100% there, is he really alive? A question asked by the zombies. Does Dempsey feel no pain because he's no more, or is it because of the ice cold chamber numbing his pain receptors? Dempsey knows what happens to the dead, they turn into zombies, so is that happening or is he just out of it? In the last chorus, the eyes are changed into wheeze, which I think is supposed to reflect how the rest of the Ultimus crew will die. Dempsey's mental conflict is causing him pain, so perhaps he is alive, but not conscious. He must know he's not a zombie because he can think clearly, something the zombies can't do, but he might be becoming a zombie because he can't control his body, a similarity between this state and that of the undead. Okay, with old Dempsey out of the way, it's time to take down old Takeo and Zetsbou no Shima. The title, Dead Flowers, could be about the corruption of this world, since flowers represent innocence and purity. It could be about the deadly flowers in the map, or it could be about how Takeo is slowly dying. Yeah, the old warrior has taken one too many hits from his battles, so it's up to the Primus crew to heal him, and then just kill him. And with that, let's move on to the lyrics. Takeo is hardly living, and as such, he's slowly becoming a zombie, evidenced by Shinonuma's song, and how he referred to blood pooling, like how Takeo's blood isn't pumping. Past that, Takeo talks about how the Emperor set him up, or perhaps it's about how Primus only knows so much about Monty's intentions. I think the chorus is referring to how Dr. Monty let the zombie cycle keep happening, and the characters are doomed to keep doing the same things over and over again. He keeps making this universe so he can kill them and harness their energy. Divorced women will sometimes burn their wedding gown as a way to forget and move past from their past relationship. In this case, I think the wind is referring to how Dr. Monty drives the cycle, and the memories Takeo wants to move on from are the ones he had fighting for the Emperor, now that he's betrayed him, and he feels like a lot of his efforts were for naught. I think birds in this context may be referring to the people that turned into zombies, since they were living a normal life until they died, and now have a painful life as the undead. This could also be what the last sentence is talking about with fruit ripening, but being rotten. Everyday innocent people turn to merciless killers. Speaking of which, maybe both these are referring to Primus. They were made to fend off the evil and origins in Black Ops 3, but in doing so, it only feeds Dr. Monty and his evil mind. Let's move on over to Krovi's Dead Ended. With Dempsey, Richtofen, and Takeo dead, it's time to take out Ultimus Nikolai in Stalingrad, Russia, the place where the drunken Russian lost his wife. But unfortunately, he's not willing to cooperate with Primus, and this song reflects his combative feelings. So, let's start with the first verse. So many names can refer to two things. Number one, there's multiple Nikolais, but only one will be quote-unquote worthy. Number two, the zombies in this game were all people that lived actual lives, but they're all collectively one thing now that they're being controlled by the Shadow Man. The last sentence is about how Ultimus Nikolai physically sees his future counterpart, and how Primus Nikolai sees his previous self. It reflects on the person he's become. The panic wings above are the dragons in this map, and as for the rest, Nikolai was told in the beginning cutscene he had to die, so he figures now's the time he will die. If it wasn't from his reckless behavior or unhealthy drinking, it was going to be from someone else. This is Ultimus Nikolai contemplating how his life was pretty much useless, or how in the end, his death was the only thing that mattered. Nikolai reflects this sentiment in the last chorus where he directly states that they never mattered. They were just pawns, which makes sense considering Monty's true intentions, but we'll save that for Black Ops 4. And speaking of that game, Dead Ended is maybe referring to how the characters were always meant to continue the cycle, and even when they did end the cycle, they all died. And since those universes were deleted, it didn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. Destroy and create, create and destroy seems to be about how the Apothicons were creating and destroying universes to gain power. Or maybe it's about Primus killing their counterparts. They destroy themselves to create power for the summoning key, and they use that power to destroy other universes. After all, they created a cure for Takeo, but then destroyed him afterwards. My running nightmare is to face myself. My view of heaven looks like someone's hell. I see it clearer in my violent dream. The first line is obviously referring to how Primus Nikolai will kill Ultimus Nikolai, but it could also be about Nikolai facing his inner demons, having to deal with his insecurities and his drinking problem. Ultimus Nikolai's idea of a good time is fighting dragons in a huge mech, but of course, this isn't the ideal life for some other people. Speaking of which, maybe the someone Ultimus Nikolai is referring to is his Primus counterpart, as both had completely different wants and motives, so their ideas of what's best for them are polar opposites. And speaking of heaven and hell, both are places people go to when they die, so again, this pushes the death motif. I I think Ultimus Nikolai is referring to how Primus view themselves as flawless saviors, when in reality, they're humans too, and even their plan isn't without its mistakes or holes. As for the second part, Nikolai's talking about how their plan will end everything, including their lives, and after all, men love nothing more than life. This verse is a lot more important to Black Ops 4's story. The night is long and lonely could be referring to Nikolai's wife, and how after she died, he turned to alcohol to cope with her death. This is further in the next verse where he mentions how he thought his wife was the only one, aka his other half. Alright, let's wrap everything up with Revelations the Gift. With the souls and the summoning key, the crew returns to the house on Agartha with Maxis, but unfortunately, Shadow Man, while being trapped in the orb, lures Maxis into freeing him, and the Apothicons wreak havoc. The song's lyrics seem to come from Samantha, but I have a theory it might be from the perspective of Samantha and the Primus characters, and I'll get into that later, but I just wanted to bring up it makes so much sense for Elena to sing as Samantha for this final song, considering she was the first character to have a song take place from her perspective. One more thing, Genius Interpretation explains that this song is about Samantha's rage against Richtofen, but that makes no sense considering the events of this game, and we'll get into that right now. Light Goes Dim could be about the Ultimus crew dying by the hands of the Primus crew, but it could also be about the zombies dying. Since their eyes glow, if they die, another light goes dim. Maybe it's symbolism. The Shadow Man has unleashed his evil, and there's little good in the world to stop it. Raining like a storm again is sort of a double entendre, because in a literal sense, a storm brings rain, but in a figurative sense, it brings a sort of rain, or power with it, just like how the Shadow Man has brought his forces against Agartha and our characters. This could refer to two things. One, the chaos happening in the map. The stars align for the Apothicons because they are able to manipulate Maxis to opening the summoning key. Two, the Primus characters are ready for answers, so by bringing everything together, they thought their plan would finally make everything make sense. This is kind of continuing my previous interpretation about Primus looking for answers. Even after they did what they're supposed to, they have to face the Apothicons before things become clear. Break all the mirrors could be referring to how Primus had to kill their counterparts, or perhaps the other similar universes, as both serve as reflections to our characters and setting. Okay, so this verse seems to be all about Samantha, but I think considering Black Ops 3's story, it could be about the Primus characters. The little room made just for me is referring to Samantha's room, sure, but she wasn't the only one to reside in this room in this game. Younger versions of the Primus crew were put in there throughout the story, with these versions being innocent, clean souls of the characters. The other half of this verse, if we're considering Samantha's point of view, is about how Maxis was taken away, and the voices of the Keepers talking to her. But if we're considering the Primus characters, it could be about how they had to kill their older selves and how their counterparts that spoke to them. I think the first part of this verse is referring to the summoning key, due to how the characters are floating around there without seemingly any shape or size. With all the flowers combined, it might be about the child versions of Primus, and the souls going blind to see again is about the Ultimus characters accepting their death, so things can get better and to end all the madness. When Samantha was trapped in the MPD, When Samantha was trapped in the MPD, she felt all the rage and anger from the Apothecons, and channeled that to use against Ultimus. But now, Primus and Monty are here to take them down and stop evil once and for all. And that's all the Black Ops 3 Easter egg songs. Well, that was certainly a journey. We got to explore the minds of the Shadows of Evil cast, the Ultimus crew, and Samantha, all in completely different states of mind. So the lyrics this time were not only very creative, but various. It was also nice to see the 3 singers come back too, each voicing a different Ultimus character to really add on to the variety of the songs. Okay, that's all I have to say for these songs. Thanks so much for watching, and join me next time where we'll dive into lyrics that are rather classified.